So as many of you who have been watching this channel for a while are now seeing, there's a huge problem in the sport of Formula One, and that is the sport of Formula One lies to its fans. And it does so to get away with the corruption that it's perpetrating. The problem is not only that the sport lies to the fans, you then get people that set themselves up on social media and they don't know any better and they just parrot the same narrative. And what happens is thick fans of the sport, which don't know any better, they get lied to by the sport, so they believe what they're being told by the sport themselves, the likes of Martin Brundle and David Croft. And then they go onto social media and they go onto a YouTube channel of somebody, and those lies are reinforced. So therefore, they believe that what they've been told is correct, and yet they don't have the brain to be able to work it out for themselves and understand that it's a lie. So I'm going to go through this video that I've found, which is yet another YouTuber he doesn't know what he's talking about, and yet he's become an F1 YouTuber. He's got, let's have a look, 531,000 subscribers. This video that he did about Abu Dhabi has had 460,000 views, 25,000 people have liked it, and 5,242 comments on it. Now, this is the problem. How many millions of people that would consider themselves to be fans of the sport of Formula One don't understand the sport of Formula One? And one of the reasons they don't understand is because they've been lied to. And there is nobody exposing the fact that they've been lied to. And what then people will do, they'll come onto my channel and they'll have to make their comments telling me that I'm the liar, because they don't have the ability to question themselves. They don't have the ability to say, okay, this is my understanding because this is what I've been told. You've just told us something else. Let me analyse which of those explanations makes the most sense and is actually the true reflection of that circumstance. They don't have the ability to do that. They've got their desires, which are, I want Max Verstappen to win. Oh, this person's saying something else. I will argue against him. That's all they've got. It's desire-driven values. They just cannot bring themselves to question what they've been told. And that's a problem. But that is something, that's a dynamic that this sport knows about and has utilised to perpetrate the corruption that it has. But I'm going to go through this video and I'm going to show you what this sport is doing, what the social media side of this sport does, and that is based on these individuals that have set themselves up as YouTubers and they don't know. You've set yourself up to present about something which acts as a form of education about something, and yet you don't know what you're talking about, and that's damaging. So here we go. I'm going to go through this video. It's by Chain Bear. It's called Did F1 Mess Up the Championship Decider with Botched Direction, Abu Dhabi 2021. 25,000 people like this. So this is a problem. Here we go.
This is going to be a little bit more of a lo-fi, rough and ready video, as I just want to get into the crux.
Well, you can tell from the outset the way that somebody speaks and the way they present themselves as if there's a level of knowledge and expertise. You know, describing, oh, this is going to be a lo-fi, right?
Crux of the thing everyone's arguing about with regards to the final few laps of the 2021 Formula One World Championship finale. I basically just want to lay out the facts as they.
So they're telling you, they're directing you. I'm just going to lay out the facts. So again, this is going to be a fact-based analysis, is what they're telling you that's what's going to be.
Exist, because a lot of this is arguing over the dense language of the technical regulations in there.
And look at again what he's presenting. Oh, it's arguing over the language, dense language of the technical regulations. Right. Let's not present it as though it's complicated. If you don't have the ability to break it down so it can be simplified so everybody can understand it, you're not really capable of educating people, are you? Quite simple. Educating somebody is explaining something to somebody in a manner that they can understand it. And if you can't do that, you're not performing that role.
Their interpretation. I have some opinions, but hopefully you'll find them balanced enough, even if you disagree. But first, big congratulations to Max Verstappen on winning the 2021 World Championship. He's
People pleaser. Don't upset any of your subscribers. Don't call out the fact that, hang on, he's just been handed that due to the race being fixed for him to win it. Instead, you want to congratulate him for that. The watching world were outraged that something had taken place which was not right and it changed the outcome of that race. That's a known thing. But you want to congratulate him.
been a tremendous contender this year, finding incredible speed and racing amazingly hard for every position. And apart from Hungary,
do you want to call out the times where he ran the other competitor off the track on numerous occasions, wasn't penalised, so effectively was enabled to race like that, just so that he could challenge? Well, there's no mention of that. Instead, it's just all positive for Max. So you can already see the direction of this guy's opinion, or the manner in which he just wants to appeal to everybody rather than risk saying something that might offend somebody.
every race he actually finished, he finished in the top 2. He took on a 7-time world champion in a team on the performance streak of a lifetime and came out on top. And on balance, he did have a healthy share of bad luck along the way, losing massive chunks of potential points in Azerbaijan, Britain and Hungary in particular, through little to no.
Bad luck. Britain, was that bad luck, or was that driving across Lewis Hamilton's nose and putting himself out of the race? Was Lewis Hamilton, did he have bad luck at Monza when Max Verstappen put his car on top of Lewis Hamilton's head, losing Hamilton however many points? But again, look at you're going to do a presentation of fact, okay? So I've not heard any facts yet.
Fault of his own, so to be handed a lucky hand just at the end of Abu Dhabi is nothing.
A lucky hand. You've had the rules of the sport broken and changed things to set it up for you, to give you a chance of, well, not only give you a chance, set it up for you in the knowledge that you were in a significantly advantaged position. That's not a lucky hand. A lucky hand at the end of Abu Dhabi is nothing I have a problem with. He is a worthy champion. This fully deserved narrative. Okay, so this is somebody that's going to give you a breakdown of the facts of Abu Dhabi. There's not a single fact yet.
Thing I have a problem with. He is a worthy champion, indeed. And speaking of luck, I also don't have a problem with a surprise safety car twist at the end of a final race, changing up the fortunes of the leaving drivers. It is a thing that happens often through the season. It can go either way, and importantly, teams will always be hypothesizing and strategizing for the possibility of a safety car at any point in the race. And as it happened in Abu Dhabi, the safety car worked in a way to benefit Max. That's how it goes.
It's not how it goes, again, but what you're doing, you're validating. All right, that's not how a safety car situation goes. But you don't have a problem with that. And so we're, almost 2 minutes in of a factual presentation to tell your subscribers, your 500,000 subscribers, about Abu Dhabi, and there's nothing of any substance.
What I want to focus on specifically is the way the race director withdrew the safety car with regards to the regulations, and to do that, we can focus on the protest Mercedes filed after the race as our framework for understanding this.
So again, we're looking at, Mercedes' point of view in effect, because that is again the common narrative, whereby rather than addressing what took place, what are the regulations, what should happen, what shouldn't happen, it becomes Mercedes think this. Okay, now it might not be quite as bad as that in this particular video, but it shouldn't be noted about bringing in the notion of Mercedes and making out as though, this particular team think this. It should be quite simply a case of, these are the facts, this is what needs to happen.
So first, here's what happened. On lap 53 of a 58 lap race, Hamilton was leading Verstappen by about 11 seconds and looked to have the win in hand when Latifi crashed at lap 14, prompting the deployment of the safety car. Now this obviously bunches the field up, reducing the lead Hamilton had maintained over Max. On top of this, Verstappen was able to jump into the pits of scrub soft tyres while Hamilton was still on 39 lap old hard tyres. The performance deficit between these two tyre sets would have been significant. Now Mercedes didn't pit Hamilton because losing track position to Verstappen would have been an instant game over and they couldn't be sure the race would even be restarted. And therein lies one of the problems. There were only 5 laps remaining once the safety car train formed. Would one of the most exciting, epic, enthralling world championships in history really be ending behind a safety car? Surely no one wanted that.
This notion, I'm going to present the facts. Would it be ending behind the safety car? Surely no one wanted that. Well, that's irrelevant. This notion of nobody wanted that is absolutely irrelevant. You don't run a sport in accordance with, well, what does the crowd want? Shall we ask the audience what you want to see happen, everybody? That's not how things go. Do you watch a football match and they stop the match with a minute to go and they go, crowd, what do you want to see? That's how we'll then change the rules of the sport if you tell us what you want. No, they don't do that. They use the rules of the sport. And if those rules dictate that that ends in a certain way, that's what you do. So this factual analysis, surely no one wanted that. Completely irrelevant.
And actually the teams and race directors had agreed before the race that it would be a priority to get the race going again.
And you present that as being a fact that has relevance. And all that that does is demonstrate that that is irrelevant on the grounds that it might be a desire. Oh, it would be better if a race ends as a race rather than behind the safety car. If we had the choice of would it end watching a race which ended with the driver taking the checkered flag in racing conditions or that race ending behind the safety car, I'd rather watch a race where it wasn't the one that ended behind the safety car. It might be your choice, but you know what, if it's got to end behind the safety car, it's got to end behind the safety car. You've just got to carry out the procedures because that is what you do. You can't manipulate those procedures and do it any differently just to try and facilitate a different ending. That's the facts of the situation. And people think, oh, no, we can do something different. We can do something different just to make that happen. That's not how things work. But people don't understand that. They can't get their heads around that.
Should a safety car come late in the race? Another issue was that there were 5 lapped cars between Hamilton in P1 and Verstappen in P2. It had become customary to allow lap cars to...
It had become customary. Look at the use of language there. Customary. What's the custom? What is the custom? How about a regulation? For the start of the 2012 season, it got reintroduced into the regulations. It's not customary, is it? It's a different way of explaining it altogether. It's a regulation that any cars that have been lapped get to unlap. Why is that?
overtake the safety car and wind their way to the back of the train so that the cars actually fighting for position were brought together at the restart. But we were...
Right. So that's what you think because that's what you have heard Martin Brundle say. You weren't able to watch those Grand Prix and determine for yourself what's really going on here. So the Grand Prix you watch from 2012 onwards, where every single time a safety car would be deployed, there would be cars lapped in those given races where the safety car was deployed and there were cars lapped. And every time Brundle would be going, oh, and when are we going to get racing again? When are we going to get racing again? They don't have to release the lapped cars. I don't think that's mandatory within the rules. They are releasing the lapped cars every time. He's releasing lap cars, but it's a safety car coming in this lap. But it's a safety car coming in this lap. Oh, no, it's not, is it? But Brundle would do the same hype job every time. But the same thing would happen every time. And yet you couldn't work out what was going on, could you? Oh, it just seems like it's a custom to me. It seems like it's a custom that they just do this. Well, why would they do that? Your brain didn't think about this, did it? Your brain didn't think, well, why is it that although Brundle's giving you the bullshit, why do they do that every time? What's actually going on here? Because there has to be a reason. Because otherwise, why is it that Brundle keeps saying the same shit and yet it never happens? Not once does it happen that way. So what's going on? Surely part of your brain's going, that's not congruent. That behaviour doesn't match with what I'm seeing going on the track. So why? And what you actually see is, once it's safe to do so, those lapped cars get released, and then that safety car keeps lapping and stays on track for at least another lap. And what's happening with those cars that have been released? Oh, well, they're going off around the track, and they eventually come round and join up with the back of the safety car snake. Oh, see what's happening there. See what's happening there. Oh, what the other implications? Oh, wow, yeah, just before that crash, just before that incident, the leader might have just lapped one of the cars, but that car that's just been lapped, he was just challenging the guy ahead of him. But because of the deployment of that safety car, the guy ahead of him's just disappeared off around the track and is now at the back of that safety car snake. You can't leave him a lap down on him now, can you? Oh, yeah, I see what you mean now. Some of us have got the ability to work that shit out. Some of us could see what was going on time and time and time again, realising that it was a hype job, realising we were being lied to, and yet we've got this guy that's decided to set himself up on YouTube to tell you about it. Go, oh, well, it's just a custom. It's just customary that they do that. I don't know why they do that, but it's just customary. I've heard Brundle say that they don't have to do that, but it's just a custom. You can't pick out that Brundle's lying. Have you been through the rules and regulations to determine for yourself what they say, and which prove that Brundle's lying, because they don't give the option of resuming racing with lapped cars in situ? Not an option. But nobody says that.
We're running out of time. So race control declared on lap 56 that lapped cars would not be allowed to overtake, in the interest of speeding up the process of getting the race restarted.
That's a lie. That's not true. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. The reason why you're not allowed to overtake is because it's not safe to do that unlapping process. Okay? The official message is overtaking will not be permitted. The fact that race control put out the message lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake is in itself a manipulation.
At this point, they were still cleaning up the remains of the Latifi accident, and race control don't really like to let the lap cars loose while they're still marshals on track.
So again, this is the extent of this guy's knowledge. Oh, they don't like to let the lap cars. Well, then that would be a massive health and safety issue, a huge issue. Whereby, were anything to happen, if they'd have given that command, they'd have been criminally negligent. They would have been liable for being responsible for a loss of life. Okay? Had they have released those cars with marshals on track and a car had gone round that circuit, unlapping itself, and gone round turn 14 and hit a marshal and killed him, race control, which would have been the clerk of the course and the race director, would have been liable in a court of law, responsible in a court of law for their loss of life. That's the way health and safety responsibility works. But you don't seem to understand that. Instead, you just seem to say, oh, they don't seem to like doing that. How are you informing people? How are you educating people about what needs to happen? So you're not, are you?
But on lap 57, the penultimate lap, race control ordered the 5 cars between the leaders, and only the 5 cars between the leaders, to unlap themselves, and then immediately declared the safety car be pitting that lap. setting up one final racing lap. And we know what happened next. Verstappen on his newer softs overtook Hamilton and held him off to take the win and the championship. So Mercedes protested breaches of Article 48.12 of the sporting regulations, so let's have a look at that. This is the article in full, but I'll break down the key points. Firstly, it indicates that the message, lap cars may now overtake, may be sent out, which mandates that all the lapped cars must pass the cars on the leading lap and the safety car. The cars may then make their way around the circuit and to the back of the safety car train. It also indicates quite clearly that once the lapped car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. The wording of this regulation dictates the safety car is supposed to do one more lap after the lap cars have made their way past. And essentially, these are 2 points of conflict that Mercedes have brought up in their protest.
But so Mercedes brought up that's a fact. You've just read out a regulation that is a hard and fast fact of what needs to happen. Okay, there's no discussion points. That is what it is.
1, that all lapped cars are supposed to unlap themselves and overtake the leader, and 2, that once the back markers are passed, the safety car is supposed to do one more complete lap, at least. This last bit is basically to ensure...
At least. Okay, it is at least. Because I keep saying it time and time again, Massey has actually kept that safety car on track for longer than that minimum mandatory lap of the safety car. He's done that on 4 occasions, demonstrating what he knows about the sport, demonstrating that he knows he has to afford sporting fairness to those released cars, giving them the chance of catching back up properly.
Ensure they are well out of the way and back in the train when the race restarts.
Well out of the way. It's nothing to do with being well out of the way. It is to do with being back, formed up in that correct race order, nose to tail with the rest of the competitors. It's not well out of the way. But again, that is the narrative that you parrot because Brundle says, oh, get them out of the way. So this guy says, oh, they're well out of the way. It's nothing to do with being well out of the way. It's a false narrative.
So essentially, the protest makes the point that the proper restart procedures weren't followed and for the classification to be amended. And I'll skip over Red Bull's defence because it's...
So you skip over Red Bull's defence. You're not even highlighting the fact that what on earth is a Red Bull defence even doing there? Mercedes are protesting to the governing body of the sport that the governing body has broken the rules of the sport and therefore needs to amend the race classification because the governing body has broken the rules of the sport. There's nothing for Red Bull to defend. There's no involvement of Red Bull. Why are they there? That in itself is corrupt. But he's just going to skip over their defence. Their defence. You know, is there any explanation that all of a sudden Red Bull wants to seem to suggest that what Mercedes have just said, which are these are the rules of the sport, that Red Bull want to present that they're not the rules of the sport? When have they not been the rules of the sport, Red Bull? In the 198 Grand Prix that you have contested since these regulations were this and reintroduced as being this in 2012, since when have they not been the rules that you're now presenting aren't the rules?
It's the Massey explanation and the steward's rejection conclusions that are the real point here. So Michael Massey, the race director, says that basically he only used Article 48.12 to get rid of some cars that were in the way of the leaders, but actually 48.13 was...
So again, what he's doing, he is not breaking down this yet.
Was the main article invoked here. And the stewards agree that Article 48.13 overrides Article 48.12. So what does this mean? Article 48.13 dictates that once the clerk of the course sends out the message, safety car in this lap, the safety car has to come in and the rest of the cars go into race restart preparation procedure. And this is where it all gets a little bit squiffy in my eyes.
Look at that term. This is where it all gets a bit squiffy in my eyes. Nothing is squiffy in your eyes because actually if you don't have the ability to break this down, you shouldn't be presenting about it. Okay? But instead, you chose to present about it, and you chose to present about it to 500,000 people. And then 500,000 people have listened to this and gone, oh, okay, that sounds all right, doesn't it? And they don't know that you don't know, because they're squiffy about it as well. You've left them squiffy about it. So let's see how it all gets a bit squiffy in your eyes, because you've not been able to identify so far that Michael Massey has just lied there. What's going on with that explanation, Massey? Because you never just cleared out just the competitors in between first and second before. That's not right.
So essentially, this means that while 48.12 does state clearly there is convention that all lapped cars must unlap leaders and that the safety car must do at least one more lap after that.
Why is it convention? What are the implications of that convention? Why are them regulations written that way? Because this is a part of the problem. No YouTuber is explaining it that way. These are the regulations. This is the purpose of the regulation. You cannot resume racing like that. And these are the reasons why. Won't do it. Because it's all a bit squiffy in your eyes because you don't know. Because you've not got the brain to break it down as to what's actually going on. Why are they doing it that way? Instead, you listen to Brundle lying to you, you accept them lies, and you don't actually look at what's really going on the track that you can see. And you're just going, oh, Brundle's going, oh, and how long will we wait before we get racing again? And are they going to let the lapped cars through because they don't have, oh, they have, and they always do. But Brundle keeps saying that. What's going on there? And is the safety car coming in this lap? Oh, no, it's not again. Why does it never come in when Brundle keeps saying that? You don't have the ability to see what's the truth and what's the bullshit. But you set yourself up as a YouTuber to make videos like this. Educating, is it? Is it called educating?
The stewards say you could basically ignore all the diktats of 48.12 by just throwing the safety car in this lap message. And as soon as you throw that message, apparently none of the rules in 48.12 apply. This is muddy water.
Look at how we present it. Oh, this is muddy water. No, it's not muddy water. That's not true. That's a lie. You cannot do that. These aren't a set of one overrides another. They're a set of step-by-step procedures. You carry out 48.12. You release cars if they have been lapped, if it's safe to do so. Because if it's not safe to release them, you have to keep lapping behind the safety car until it is safe. But if it's not safe, you keep the safety car on track. If it's not safe to release lapped cars, it's certainly not safe to go racing again, is it? That's a pretty much basic. And if you don't understand that, you're one of these people that I've said is just a bit too thick to understand. So, once it's safe to do so, the message gets given to the lapped cars, off you go, you get released. Once the last one of them has been released, then that safety car stays on track for at least another lap of the track. And then, once that's been accomplished, the message comes in to 48.13 about this notion of in you come safety car.
Partly because it feels like there's no point in giving a lengthy description to the safe and fair process of how cars are meant to unlap from the train if there's another rule that says, well, the clerk can just bring in the safety cars whenever, regardless of whether the written regulations are followed. And partly because, well, this isn't how races have been run before.
So, it's muddy water because it makes no sense if you can do that, and it's never been done before. But, so what are you doing then? You're not calling out that it's wrong. Oh, if I call out that it's wrong, then some of my Max Verstappen fan subscribers won't like that. Well, unlucky. Unlucky. You've just been fed a lie. I'm going to tell you, Max Verstappen fans that obviously like coming here and making your comments, you were lied to. You were made mugs out of. You like that because you want to point the finger at those of us that want to stand for justice, and you want to point the finger and go, ha ha, ha ha, because that's the kind of turds of human beings that you are. You can't look at yourself, look at your level of understanding, and look at your ability to critically think. That's something you've heard before. You think it sounds clever, but you don't really know what it means because you don't know how to do it. But you'll go, oh, you don't know how to critically think, because you think that that's a way of undermining me and discrediting me, because that's the way your brains work. But you don't realise that that's not how it works, is it? You want to make the comments, but I don't bother with most of them because they're brainless. They're brainless, and more we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, we'll move on.
Teams and drivers have an expectation of how race procedures work, and they plan and run accordingly. In the space of a few seconds, a handful of cars were told to unlap and drivers were told a restart was about to happen. Something not laid out in the rules. Now, it's also important to point out the stewards point to Article 15.3. And this is a big one, so let's go through it. Article 15 as a whole basically lays out the roles and responsibilities of the main race control officials. And 15.3 maps out the relationship between the clerk of the course and the race director. But essentially, they work in harmony together, with the clerk of the course basically being the person to actually manage the racetrack, like calling safety cars, red flags, and deploying safety vehicles, but under the behest of the race director. So Michael Massey has the final call on everything, but the clerk of the course is the one who actually communicates with all the on-track operations. And that is actually the point of 15.3. It's laying out the key responsibilities of the clerk of the course, but notes that they operate in consultation with the race director, and that the race director has final say and can override the clerk if necessary. But the stewards interpret this article in an interesting way, essentially reading it as the race director shall have overriding authority in the use of the safety car, meaning that basically Massey has carte blanche say over how the safety car is used. This is a bit troubling in general. Not only is this not what the article is meant to be about, again, it's just about laying out responsibilities, but declaring that Michael Massey can literally do whatever he wants with the safety car, no matter what the pages and pages of regulations say regarding safety car use, is a dangerous precedent. So, just to be clear, this isn't about being bitter about Lewis losing the...
So just to be clear, so we're being clear, are we? You've just said that what it's about, but just to be clear, it's not about being bitter.
Title or even safety...
Let's apologise to the Max. Just to let you know, Max fans, I'm not saying that Max shouldn't have this championship. No. You stay being subscribers to my channel. Please, Max fans. Don't be offended. I'm not saying anything nasty against Max.
Cars deciding the championship. I do want to reiterate that because basically everything I'm about to say about the proper use of regulations would have put Hamilton in a much more advantageous position.
A much more advantageous position, like, oh, we'd have been an 8-time world champion. He'd have clearly won that race. Oh, but you can't say that, can you? Oh, you don't want to offend the Max fans. Right, so you've said, whoa, that's not right, but you've not said it very clearly. Okay, and you've not given an example why 15.3, the notion of 15.3 and the race director just having carte blanche over the use of the safety car, he can do what he wants with it. You've not explained that's bullshit and given an example which shows that that's bullshit. And I'll give you one in case you've not seen my other videos, and that being that if the race director can just pick and choose what the fuck he wants to do with the safety car, right, that he could potentially say, right, I can see a car that's leading by 30 seconds. I don't like that. I'm going to put the safety car out so that second place can bunch up with him. Oh, second place bunched up with him. I'm going to bring that safety car in now because I want to see a race between first and second. That is manipulating a sport. If he's got carte blanche over use of the safety car, he could do that. He can't do that. So he hasn't got carte blanche over the use of the safety car. It's a ridiculous notion. He's got the choice of whether to use the safety car as a measure to deal with a safety incident. Okay, so he's got the authority to choose whether to use the safety car or not to deal with an incident. Once that safety car is deployed, you've got to carry out the set of regulations that apply to that safety car before you go racing again. Once you perform them regulations, he can choose to keep that safety car on track on the grounds of safety or sporting fairness. And that is on the grounds of if he still, having completed those regulations, having carried them out, still thinks it's unsafe, he can continue to keep them lapping behind the safety car. If something else crops up, for example, if the track is declared clear and he thinks it's safe to release the lapped cars, and whilst that unlapping process is going on, he's looking at the situation, he sees something else, or he's like, well, there's far too much spray and the visibility is too poor, and I think if I resume racing, there'd be further crashes, he can keep the safety car lapping. Okay? If those released cars haven't caught the back of the pack, and he knows that he's left them in a significantly disadvantaged position, he can keep that safety car on track until sporting fairness is resumed. That is his overriding discretion. There lies his ability to use his discretion over the use. It's not failing to carry out the mandatory procedures. And this guy cannot explain that because he doesn't know. He's set himself up as a YouTuber, and he either doesn't know, because all he's done is listen to Brundle and not been able to break down what the reality of the situation is, or he doesn't want to upset the strap-on fanboys because he doesn't want to lose subscribers. This is the dynamics of this whole shit show. More advantage position. I can't call out that actually that would have meant Lewis Hamilton was an 8-time world champion.
But I can't help that. So following the letter of the
apologetic. Oh, it's so apologetic every time that anything that even hints that Lewis Hamilton was robbed is apologetic over. Shitting himself.
That because basically everything I'm about to say about the proper use of regulations would have put Hamilton in a much more advantageous position, but I can't help that. So following the letter of the regulations, instead of kind of fudging it in the way that he did, the race...
I'm just going to present the facts in this. So following the regulations rather than fudging it...
Director had 3 basic options. 1, finish the race under the safety car.
Correct.
And I think, if we're all honest with ourselves, were this round 6 of the season and not the championship decider, this race would have almost certainly finished behind the safety car.
I'm going to present the facts. In every situation like this that you've ever seen, the safety car procedure gets carried out the same way. It's irrelevant whether it's round 6 or round 22 or round 18 or round 1. It doesn't matter. Okay, don't try and create this notion of it being a championship decider is making it different. It's not. But again, you don't have the ability to articulate that.
There would have been no rush to get it restarted. Now the downside of this, a neutralised end to the title deciding finale. But is it up to Massey to have this on his mind?
Right. Are you presenting facts? No, it's not, is it? This isn't a presentation of facts. This is you presenting information with a slant on it that's actually validating. You know, even presenting the notion, oh, but then we don't really want to see a safety car finish, do we? Well, that's not a factual presentation, is it? That's, oh, how does it make you feel? It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. That's not, facts aren't feelings, are they? Facts aren't feelings.
We'll come back to that. 2, restart the race for 1 lap, but don't let lap cars pass the safety car.
Fact. That's not allowed, but you've presented this as being an option in your presentation of facts. There is nothing in the regulations whatsoever that permit racing to resume with lapped cars in situ. It hasn't been allowed since 2012. The only lapped cars that would be allowed to be in situ would be those that don't qualify to be released. Okay, and they would be cars that have become lapped after the safety car has passed that safety car line for the second time during that safety car period. Then you're not eligible to unlap. But those that are eligible are always unlapped because that is what the regulations dictate. Once that safety car has been deployed, you've got to go through those procedures prior to the resumption of racing. There is no part of that enable racing to be resumed without carrying that out.
It isn't mandatory to...
Again, you're presenting facts and you've just lied because you don't know. You're parroting the Brundle narrative and you do not know. You've never seen it happen that way since 2012, right? You've not read the rules and regulations. You don't understand the rules and regulations, but you're presenting to 500,000 people your account of what you think is happening, but calling that a factual presentation.
To get all the lap cars out of the way, And without that part of the procedure, the race director could easily have restarted the race without blurring the written rules. The downside, again, is we don't
Blurring the written rules. This is his version of fact. And this is the problem. We've got people that will come to my channel and will not like the way that I present things. Oh, but they'll like this. They'll like this shit. This fluffy bollocks. Okay? They'll like that. They'll like being presented with information that way. Oh, let me know how you think. Let me know how you feel. A factual presentation is not about what you think or what you feel. This is what things are. And if you think otherwise, I'm not interested in getting into a conversation about whether you think things are what they are or not. They just are what they are.
don't get Hamilton and Verstappen together on track. But, sometimes that's just the way things go. Verstappen was able to get on the soft tyres, but he has to pass some back markers. Some might even call this more fair, as Hamilton did have his lead neutralised, but I'm actually not interested.
That's just the way how these things go. When does it go like that? That's just, that's just the way things go. The downside, we don't get to see Hamilton together.
Again, is we don't get Hamilton and Verstappen together on track. But, sometimes that's just the way things go.
When? Since 2012, when have you seen that? But you just, that's just sometimes the way things go. So in the last 10 seasons of racing, since the regulations changed for the start of the 2012 season, through to the end of the 2021 season, the 10th full season, that those regulations, that's just the way something, well, when's it gone like that?
Verstappen was able to get on the soft tyres, but he has to pass some back markers. Some might even call this more fair, as Hamilton did have his lead neutralised, but
so we're playing through a set of scenarios that aren't possible. Let's just explore what might have happened then.
Actually not interested in fudging
in something that's not allowed to happen.
The luck of the draw either. 3. Red flag the race when Latifi crashed. Then everyone gets fresh tyres and we do a 4-lap sprint race to the finish. This puts everyone on an even playing field, and it could have gone either way.
So you propose this as the options available. What are the criteria for throwing a red flag? You did a video on this. Not very good, but you did a video on the criteria for throwing a red flag. So you know what them criteria are on, and you know that what took place in Abu Dhabi didn't meet that criteria, and yet you propose this as being an option.
The problem with this is there wasn't really a good reason to red flag the race other.
Right, so therefore, why you're proposing it as an option? It didn't fulfill the criteria. This is a factual analysis, not a tell me what you feel or what you think.
Than setting up a big showdown finale. But seeing as...
So we're talking about a sport. In a sport, shall we set up a big showdown finale? Do you have this kind of brain where you realise that actually that's not what sport's about? We're watching a sport. How do we set up a big showdown finale of this? We're watching Wimbledon tennis. Novak Djokovic seems to be winning the final and looks on course to win this final 3 sets to love. How do we set up a big showdown to this? What, so you're going to break the rules of the sport to somehow give the other guy 2 sets to make it go into a 5th set, are you? Well, how are you going to do that? How do we set up a big showdown? We've got a football match here. Man City are winning 4-0 with 5 minutes to go. How do we set up a big showdown? What the fuck are you going on about, mate? Can you not just break it down as to realising the bullshit that you're talking? But you the fan, you want to see a big showdown, don't you? Look at how things are presented to you. How do you feel about this? How you feel means fuck all. I don't give a fuck how you feel or what you want. Things are what they are. Okay, and some of you people have just got no integrity, no understanding, you're thick as fuck, and you think life's all about, how do I feel? What do I want? No. There's certain things that just have to be a certain way because they're the rules of certain things. And this is what it is with sport. There are rules. It's not about ask the audience, oh, what do you want, the audience? What do you want to see? How do you feel about this? No, this is not what we're talking about.
Decisions were made to force a big showdown finale anyway. This ends up being kind of the best decision in hindsight. So what is the problem we've got?
Oh, this would be the best decision to set up a big showdown finale. No, that's not sport, is it, dickhead? You've set yourself up to present on a sport, but what you've just said isn't sport. That would have been the best way of setting up a big showdown finale. Well, that's not what you do. That is not sport. But the strap-on boys don't understand that. You'll see the comment section. You'll read through the comments of this, and you can pick out the retards with every single comment that's made. Okay, we all know who the retards are. Oh, you don't call us retards. That's spreading hate. No. It's not spreading hate. It's just identifying those of you that are just fucking retarded. Okay, it's not my fault that you are the way you are. Okay, you're just fucking retarded.
It is kind of...
Oh, I don't like that. All right, okay. I've educated you. I keep telling you the same thing. I did it in a nice way. I still keep getting the same feedback, the same comments from the same people. Okay, if you can't see yourself for what you are, you're lucky. Okay, that's who you are. Okay, if you get offended by that, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just telling you what you are.
Annoying for me that this is all coupled in with a title deciding moment because I really want to focus on the race direction aspect without it looking like I'm just mad that a title was stolen from anyone, because I don't.
Oh, because I want to apologise to all of you Max fans because I don't want to offend any of you or lose any subscribers.
Max and Lewis drove the race that was given to them and they both did it brilliantly. Taking the title away from Max...
They both did it brilliantly. Yeah, because like Lewis was winning it by 12 seconds and Max did it brilliantly, didn't he? Yes, they both did it brilliantly. One guy was on course to win his record-breaking 8th World Championship. But Max did it brilliantly. What, once they broke the rules of the sport, made sure he's significantly advantaged and gave him a one lap to smash the guy that was on old hard tyres that they knew was going to be slower. Oh, he did that brilliantly. Well done for you, Maximus.
Max now would be horrible. No, I want to focus...
Oh, to take that away from Max now would be horrible. Is this facts or is this your opinions? Oh, got to turn that up.
Both did it brilliantly. Taking the title away from Max now would be horrible. No, I want to focus on race direction in general because I think we've had very wobbly race control and stewarding this year and it really has to...
I would use the term, it's been very wobbly. Very wobbly race direction and control. No. It's not wobbly. It's called fucked up. Okay? There has been disgusting driving that has never been penalised. You've had a guy run the other guy off track about 6 times this year. And they've gone, oh, just let them race. Well, that's not okay. You've had one guy that's done some disgusting things which should result in race disqualification. Oh, that's fine. We want to see a close championship battle. Facilitate that. That's okay. Oh, that's just wobbly race control, is it? That's wobbly. But what we're going to... Let's... Oh. Confusing. Inconsistent, confusing, and related to written regs. What's going on there, then? Let's see the example he's going to give. Dolph Lundgren will love this one.
Stop. There have been a lot of calls and decisions and penalties or lack of penalties that are completely inconsistent from one another and have left teams, drivers and the media completely unclear on what the actual rules are. We need to go into races. Drivers need to fight each other, knowing exactly what the rules are and what happens if they're broken.
They did. And they didn't use them rules in 2021. Why was that? Who seemed to be the beneficiary of them not applying rules of engagement? Oh, that would be the guy that was allowed to keep running the other guy off the track without getting penalised for doing so. Oh, what's going on there then?
And I think track limits completely exemplify.
Oh, the one that I want to focus on is the track limits. No, I don't want to focus on Max running Lewis off the track 6 times. Let's focus on the track limits. Fucking strap-on fanboy.
This. Instead of the white lines clearly defining the limits of the racetrack, whereby if you go outside the white lines, that's illegal, the officials define different rules for different corners. Maybe a white line, maybe a curb. They change the rules through the weekend, and some corners they don't monitor at all, and you can go as wide as you like. We need to go into 2022.
Okay, that's the truth, isn't it? That is what has happened. That's what's happened for years. And what happened at Bahrain? Oh, we got Christian Horner inciting the crazies. So Christian Horner knows that that's gone on for years, that they monitor some corners and others they don't. And the one that Lewis Hamilton was taking advantage of was one that he'd already questioned and that they weren't going to monitor. So he took advantage of that situation because he knows that that's how the sport operates. Oh, but at the moment in time, Max performs an overtake off track. Oh, you're not letting us do an overtake. No, that's always penalised, Christian. You know that. Oh, the moment Max performs an overtake off track, you penalise us. But Lewis went off track. Yeah, but they told you they weren't going to monitor that. Oh, but Lewis went off track there. Yeah, look, Lewis went off track. Yeah, but that's what they do, Christian. That's what they do. So, but you incite the crazies. You try to make out that these are equivalent scenarios. That overtaking off track is the same as a driver pinching more of the going off the track by going over the white line and pinching a wider line to make a faster exit or whatever it was that they do, that they've done for years because they have pre-race briefings and they'll be told by the FIA what's going to be monitored, and they'll go, right, if it's not going to be monitored, I'm going to do that. And that's what they do. And the clever ones do it and they get away with it. Oh, Max hasn't been doing that. Max hasn't been doing that. He's not. Well, okay, but he could have done. He could have done. The fact that he didn't, well, that's basically levels of experience, isn't it? Oh, but when he overtook off track, because you get penalised for doing that, and you get penalty points on your licence sometimes for doing that. It's done in certain ways. But this is how the crazies have been incited. Okay, this is how the crazies have been incited. But this is how this guy wants to present about it as well. Oh, it's been some wobbly decisions from race control. But the one that sticks out in my mind is track limits. Nothing to do with brake testing another car. Nothing to do with driving another car completely off the track, both in Brazil and in Saudi. Nothing to do with throwing your car at the other car, and unless they deviate their line as they're going around a corner, right, they get hit. That's not a problem in your squiffy eye. Fucking twat here.
Knowing exactly what the rules are under different circumstances. And we don't need the race director to have absolute power over fudging the rules and making up procedures on the fly. And in fact, we don't need the race director to have one mind on what makes a good show. They are there to keep the race to time and to make sure it operates safely and under the rules.
We don't need the race director to have one eye on what makes a good show. But you're proposing that the red flag would have been the best way of creating the great finale that you wanted to see. Is that not creating the show? Do you have the ability to even analyse yourself, dickhead, as to what it is you're presenting? Or where you contradict yourself? Clearly not. Clearly. Oh, but we want to see this and we don't want to see that. And this is me displaying what people will believe to be critical thinking. Because I am proposing balance of, this is happening, and do we want to see this, and do we want to see that? And people go, oh yeah, this guy's balanced. No, you don't understand, do you, dickheads? It's drilling down to what is actually relevant and what isn't, and where this guy's actually coming out with some bullshit that's not relevant.
The rules. In my opinion, the race director shouldn't be a super authority, but operate as part of a team which, importantly, can challenge their...
Oh, part of a team. So where have you heard that? Oh, this job's too much for Michael Massey. In my opinion, he should be part of a team. Oh, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard Brundle say that on Sky Sports. It's so hard, isn't it? The referee on a football pitch with 11 guys from either side shouting at him, with 70,000 people in a stadium all shouting at him, with both benches from both teams all shouting at him. Oh, he needs a team of 11 referees on the pitch with him. No, he doesn't. He's got a tough job. He's got to make an instantaneous decision about things. Got to blow his whistle and stop play there and then. A race director's got the luxury of being sat in an office, away from all the crowd, away from all the teams, away from all the competitors, looking at stuff through monitors, and can look at things a couple of times and give a few seconds to go, right, okay, that seems to be happening. Let's have, what shall I do now? I've got a few seconds to come to a decision as to what I'm going to do here. It's an easy job. Don't try and dress it up to be something that's really super hard, because it really isn't.
Their decisions and make sure everything works in the way the regulations lay out. That way, everyone knows what's going on. The problem with the race director's decision making in Abu Dhabi, including that bizarre call to let Hamilton get away with corner cutting.
Oh, the strap-on fans are going to love that one, aren't they? Oh, the strap-on fans. Oh, the last thing I want to do is say that Hamilton was robbed in any way, but that corner cutting at the one where Max drove his car at Lewis, and had Lewis not have actually had to deviate his line, he'd have got rammed into on lap one of that race because of this dive bomb attempt that has been validated all season by the sport. Yeah, these squiffy in your eyes, wobbly decisions.
Is that it makes Formula One look more like a circus than a sport. Are these serious athletes we're watching, or just players in a show? Leave it to Netflix to give Formula One the dramatic framing. The race director is here to run a sport.
So that's your facts. And then facts have been articulated to your 500,000 viewers in a clear manner, have they? Or is that just fluffy bullshit? Fluffy, I don't want to offend any of you. This is a presentation of facts, which most of that was not facts at all, was it? Just a load of bollocks. But there'll be people out there which will have viewed that and not realised it was a load of bollocks. Not realised that you've actually exposed very little there, parroted a lot of narrative, presented things which aren't true, and yet that will have confirmed things to them that, oh yeah, that's right, this guy knows what he's talking about. And these are the knobheads that will jump up in my comment section and go, oh, this channel is just confirmation bias. Really? You understand what confirmation bias is, do you? You understand what confirmation bias is? Rightio. Okay, anyway. That'll do on this one. But this is part of the problem. I'm just trying to identify, well, clearly the fact that the sport of Formula One is corrupt, but the fact that people are thick. The strap-on fanboys are thick as fuck. These YouTubers are clearly, they present themselves as being knowledgeable. They present themselves as being balanced, being out of this notion of, oh, critically thinking about this, I'll present the facts. I'll just present the facts. They don't realise that that's not what they're doing. And yet the viewers think that that's what they're doing. This is the ridiculous nature of it. But they won't like hearing me say it in a blunt, matter-of-fact manner. That will offend them. That's too jarring for them. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Oh, that goes against what I like or what I want to happen. That must be wrong. This guy's a crazy guy. He's a conspiracy theorist. No, he's just looking at what's actually happening, breaking down what's factual, displaying that, but you don't like it. Whose fault's that? Is that me or is it you? Is it me that's got the problem or is it you? But a lot of these people, luckily, I do feel blessed in this regard. Luckily, I've got so many of the people that come here to make the comments. They are mental health professionals, and they're always giving me mental health advice. you know, that tells me about my mental health issues. And I really appreciate those comments because I think they're really they inform me of my mental issues that clearly need. Well, they don't need further diagnosis because I'm getting all the diagnosis I need in the comment section of my videos. So I appreciate you greatly, and look forward to your future comments. Anyway, that'll do for this one. Take care, everybody. See you soon.